Hey everybody, Dylan Schnese here from Steady Presence. Ash and Ted are out grocery shopping, so it's just me and Vin. I don't know if you can see him in there. He's right there. Yeah, he's just playing with beads or garbanzo beans and rice. It's a sensory bin, so he's just taking. Maybe if we can go sneak up on him. Yeah, Ash and Ted have been gone for about 45 minutes, and we haven't communicated. Vin and I haven't communicated at all since. He's just been playing with the sensory bin. What I want to talk about today is our word of the year. And so this is a concept that I actually first heard about it when I was working at Appian, and it was on some health promotional thing that they put on top of the urinal, something to keep you entertained while you're doing your thing. Talking about the word of the year and how you pick a word of the year, and while you're going through your year, you kind of you focus on that word. It gives you some direction that you want your life to go into. So I think the first time we did the word of the year, it was last year, and we may have done one before 2020. Ash will have to remind me. But the word of the year we did for 2020 was connection. And going into 2020, I was on two work trips. And, 2018, 2019, I was at Voith in the office. You get home and it's 5:30. You eat, you play with the kids for about 20 minutes, and then we start our bedtime routine. So our word for 2020 was connection. And by gosh, did March come around and we got our connection time. I was home from the office. We're out walking every day. We're at Riverview Gardens. We're foraging. Our family had so much connection time. It was unbelievable. 2021, we didn't really have a word of the year. We more or less had we did goals like everyone else does, and we did well with those goals. I forgot what some of my goals were, but one of them was to transact more in cryptocurrency, just to understand the skill, and I mentioned that in some of my videos, and some of you might get turned off by it. But another way that you can understand that topic is just to think about it as digital assets. If you haven't heard that before, just think about it as digital assets. I won't go on more about that, but. And of course, we moved into this farm. So it was a good year. It almost felt like we had 2 years. The first part of the year at our old greenhouse, and the last 4 months of 2021 at the farm. It almost felt like we had an entire year at a different place and an entire year at the farm. So next year, when we have a whole year here, it's gonna feel like it's probably gonna feel like 2 years worth of time. But going back to the origins of the word of the day, I started hearing it more from Nicole Sauce at Living Free in Tennessee, and then this year from Amy Dingman at the Farmish Kind of Life podcast. But both of those are podcasts. So it made me think about what our word of the year is going to be this year. So towards the end of last year, I was working on my professional goals with my supervisor, and he mentioned, why don't you read a book on leadership? And so I asked my community out there, specifically John Bush, and give me a recommendation on leadership. And he typed back right away, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I have heard about the book before, never read it, but I know that a lot of people have read it. And I'm reading this book, and it's a blueprint for how a well thought out life should be. And so if you are young, if you are in your early 20s, or even if you're in high school, I highly recommend this book. And I'll even throw this out there, if you want to talk about the book, if you want not a mentor per se, because I'm only 29. How can I be a mentor to someone? But if you need someone to talk about the book with, and if you're planning some parts of your life using this book, talk to me about it, because I would love for someone. I would love to bounce some of the ideas that I have off with. So highly recommended. Anyway, so that leads me to my word of the year, and the word of the year is effective. Now, my wife and I were discussing the word efficient, and in the book, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, they talk about a team of bushmen going through, let's say, a rainforest, and they are hacking away at limbs and making a path for themselves, and they're doing it with great skill, and thus with great efficiency. But what a leader does is they're behind the bushmen, and they look up and see, where they're going. And what if the leader gets up there and he says, "Hey guys, we're in the wrong rainforest"? Those people down there were very efficient at their job, but was it effective? Well, it's not, because they were in the wrong rainforest. So that kind of applies to our situation. We could raise pigs, but if we can buy them for less than what it would cost us to learn how to do that skill, wouldn't it be more effective to, let's say, devote to Airbnb? That's just one example, but that's how we're going to look at 2022, is how can we be effective? So I'd love to hear your word of the year, if that's something that you're going to start this year with your family. Excuse me. Just put it in the comments. I would love to hear your word of the day, and I know people on the other end of this are looking to hear what mine is. So, I wanted to do this quick video. I also wanted to share just quick some little, when I'm in the kitchen, what kind of stuff do I do in the kitchen? Here's a syrup jar. I'm gonna mix it. I'm gonna put coffee in here, dissolve the leftover syrup in coffee, so I don't have to scrape it out. But then after I'm done with this, I could recycle this. But what I do is I fill this up with water, put the cap on it, and then I just put it in the basement. And what I learned last year, we were sick with a stomach bug, and our water purifier, I was in the middle of changing it out when we all got sick. And we typically used a purified water, not tap water for drinking. And so we started going through some of the stored water that I have, and we were blowing through it. Excuse me. I've been starting to store up more water, more drinkable water. Like if you have a, let's say if you have a swimming pool or a pond on your property, you know, you have water. It's not drinking water, and if you need water in a pinch, you want drinking water. You want something that you can access right away. So that's what we have in the basement. So really just juice jars, anything made out of PET. I believe that's the number 8 recycling code. You can store water in, and if you're a soda drinker, you probably have those laying around. Just start filling them up. And this water, it's available right now. It's free, not free, but very very cheap. So just I mean, we have a town close to us, Kakana, and every now and then they get boil advisories because something from the paper making process, I would think, is causing the water to have a high sulfur content. So that they get put on boil advisories maybe once every other year, but it's good to have that water on hand. What are some other things? One thing I've started doing was anytime I clean the cast iron pan with a wipe. I used to wash these and they get disgusting. So my wife suggested that I do something else with them. So I mean, I use these like once or twice, and then I'll use that as a fire starter. But if I come up with any other tips for what I do in the kitchen, I'll keep you guys posted. Anyway, love to hear what your word of the year is. Happy 2022, everybody.